This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with fellow man-child Johnny Karlic. And we are back for the Rick and Johnny podcast right here on Most Valuable Podcast, where we talk about everything under the two nerdy sons. And Johnny, what we have today is, first off, a throwaway, and I'm only doing this because you were doing it right before we hit record.
No.
There was an article that I saw that was the Thanos creator had imagined either Arnold Schwarzenegger or Idris Elba to be the villain.
Too bad he's Heimdall.
But you just, I didn't know you could do the voice so well.
I didn't know
you
I
were
could
doing
either.
some Thanos voice, Thanos lines as Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want you to give a few for the listeners and the viewers to kind of put into their minds what it would be like if Arnold Schwarzenegger was Thanos.
Okay, well.
Now Johnny's like, ooh, now you're putting me on the spot.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe, but this does put a smile on my face.
What about my favorite's the Gamora one. The one where it's like, where's my mommy? Where's my mother?
Are you my mother?
Are you my father?
Oh, where is it?
What's wrong, little one?
My mother. Where's my mother?
What's your name?
I like how it's just what's your name, not what is your name.
Gamora.
You're a great fighter, Gamora. Come, let me help you.
You wouldn't have made me do, or I wouldn't have made you do it if you weren't doing it so well.
I know.
The best thing I would have, the meme I would have put in was basically, if Arnold Schwarzenegger was Thanos, it would basically just be like, why do you have purple skin? Do you have a tumor? It's not a tumor.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Exactly. To Iron Man, who's your daddy and what does he do? Oh man, that would be a funny line to Iron Man that would kind of hit Tony at the core.
You have my respect, Stark. When I'm done, half humanity will still be alive. I hope they remember you. Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? But
put the cookie down.
So this has been this has been the extra long intro to the Rick and Johnny podcast. A little housekeeping here at the beginning. Before we get into the things we're going to talk about, make sure to check us out on patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast to help support the channel. You can also do so by buying an MVP t-shirt. That link is down below in the description. And then you can also check it out at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can get your MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, please go on to iTunes. If you have Apple Podcasts, you have iTunes, please go give the Rick and Johnny podcast a 5-star rating. Even if you're on YouTube, please go over and give us that 5-star rating if you think we deserve it, and then write a little something about what you think about the podcast that you listen to each and every week. But Johnny, we got a jam-packed show today. Yeah, I do that from time to time. I don't know why. I just fist in the, not even together, just...
Punching the side of your hand.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, parallel. It's parallel motion. But what we're talking about today, that's what I mean, perpendicular. Making a T with my fists. But basically, what we're talking about today is the three main topics we're looking at is James Gunn is going to write Suicide Squad 2. What is that going to mean for both DC and Marvel moving forward? We finally got an Aladdin teaser trailer. We're going to talk about expectations for that movie, plus some other things going on with the other live-action Disney movies. Then we're going to dive into some Spider-Man MCU Sony stuff, where there was news about info about the Kraven the Hunter movie. So we're going to dive into that one and kind of throw some extra Spider-Man Far From Home stuff at the end as well. However, first thing we're going to jump into, and this is going to be a weekly edition that we do for the next, I think it's 12 weeks. I'm actually going to look it up on my phone because I am logged into it. With the DC Universe app, we had our first episode of Titans come out. So let's see. how many episodes are they going to have here? Titans. Let's see. There's a total of 11 episodes in the first season from now until Christmas time, the beginning of the podcast. We're basically going to talk a little shop about the episode that has come out. So I will warn you, spoilers for this. So if you haven't seen Titans, you can skip ahead. I'll put the time info in the full podcast. You guys on YouTube can pause it, come back after you have watched Titans. But if you haven't, don't have DC Universe, you're like, you know what, I still want to know what's going on, you can sit around and watch. We're only going to talk about it for a little bit. But Johnny, a first episode of, it was, to me, a slower episode. So kind of like the quick, too long didn't read or too long didn't watch of it, is basically the main characters we had in this one were Dick, Raven, and Starfire. And we had Dick Grayson and Raven in one story, and we had kind of Starfire over in her own. Where basically Raven, she's at a home in Traverse City, Michigan, with what we think is her mom. We then find out, like, oh, she's having nightmares and stuff, and apparently her mom is afraid of her and stuff like that. But then we find out, oh, this isn't really your mom, when this guy, bald guy, comes to get her, shoots the mom dead, and then Raven runs out and gets away. She then gets to Detroit via a bus. Again, almost gets captured by the same group, throws a brick at a cop car, goes to the prison. That's where she meets Dick, and their kind of relationship binds together, where she gets captured. Dick has to save her. We also get to see that kind of scene from the trailer that we saw, the fight scene that is in this. So cool. We see that. We see him as Robin. We kind of get the little world building of he's in Detroit, not Gotham. They don't really like masked figures in, like, real cities because, like, one of them said it's like, yeah, you know, one of them come, and then all the kind of goons, the villains that the masked vigilantes, what kind of follows them. And then we get kind of the Star Sapphire story of, which was the real weird one.
Yeah, Starfire.
Starfire. I said Star Sapphire again, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I'm Green Lanterning it. But Starfire that's the one I want to start with, because I don't know. I tried to come into this episode with non-judging goggles, because everyone, ever since we saw what Starfire, I almost did again, Star Sapphire, Starfire looked like, a lot of people did not like it for many reasons, but I think you and I, the big one was the attire that she was wearing.
Look
and for you, I know you've said, like, you don't like the hair.
I don't like the hair, and I don't like her attire either. Starfire.
I'm going to do it again. You're just going to have to correct me the whole thing.
Throw something at you every time.
But I want to start with hers first. I don't know how to feel with it. At first I'm like, okay, does she have amnesia? Did she get put into this body? Is it like her spirit got put into a body and she doesn't know who it is? Is it just amnesia from the car crash? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's very confusing, just her storyline.
What do you think with it? Because
I'm not sure, honestly, because it's like she's learning about the powers.
Who am I? Well, learning about the powers is like, that's the part where I'm like, okay, like, you're going to learn about your powers, but the part of, like, she doesn't know who she is. When she gets back to the hotel, it's like, oh, well, do you want the same? Oh, what's the same? Oh, what room am I in? Oh, this key. I don't know what it's for. Is it just like, part of me is just, am I overthinking this? And it's just, oh, she was in a car crash, so the head trauma didn't kill her because she's Starfire, but it did knock her out to where she lost her memory.
Maybe, but it almost is like she doesn't realize she has power. She doesn't realize a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
because, like, she punches the guy and then looks at her hand like, what did I just do?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but then she has, like, the half mentality of, like, the old body, because she's able to speak Russian and German.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute. Because from what I don't know as much DC as you do, doesn't Star have to, like, actually, like, I'm trying to think,
like, learn,
like, or she can absorb it through someone, through physical touch, or
I
something
believe
like that?
You're thinking of Raven. So what Raven can do, and what she does in this, is Raven can touch your hand.
Yeah.
and then get your dreams. So like,
no, I'm talking about in the comics or cartoon. Can't some form of like, I don't know, physical touch cannot like Starfire then like learn English from someone.
Here, I'm gonna look it up really quick.
So if she can know, or
right
am I
here.
just...
Thank you, Screen Rants. They have a cast and characters power guide. So let's see. Don't want Dick Grayson, Starfire. So of course they don't give me. So what they have written down for Starfire, I'll just read it. The comic book member of the Titans guaranteed to be the most different in this adaptation is Starfire, otherwise known as the Cosmic Princess Cortadar, and with good reason, since adapting an orange-skinned, green-eyed, red-haired alien woman who prances around in a bathing suit is no easy task. But the makers of Titan have come up with a new origin story for Corey through the early parts of the show, beginning with a blanker slate than any of her superpowered co-stars. Her character is more cloaked in mystery than any other, so the less we say about her circumstances, the better. In the comics, her powers range from super strength to energy projection, making her the most powerful of this group of Titans. From her first scene, though, it's Corey's attitude that may be her deadliest weapon. And yes, Starfire will get her comic costume in Titans' first season. So that one didn't give us exactly what we wanted. You might be right, where she might be able to do that, but that's the whole thing of... The thing I'm thinking is, with the mystery part, did she do all that before that car crash? Because we'd see her in outside Austria, and it's just a car crash. And you look next to her, guy bullet hole to the head, and the first thing I'm thinking is just, okay, did she do that to him? Did she do that? So, I mean, there's a lot of mystery around her, but the thing that I will say I did like that was cool was when she got shot by the bullet, and you see green eyes, the hair start to get that like yellowy red, and the skin becomes orange. I'm like, okay, that's the look of Starfire that I like.
That's fine. And like I said, it's just some of the aesthetics and this, and we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it'll finally get explained like what's going on, but I'm not even sure what to say about her storyline because she's confused about her powers. She is just confusing in herself of like, yeah, I get it. She's trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah. That'd be one thing. And that would explain the confusion of powers too. But like, then she shouldn't like necessarily understand, or she should also have been confused in like knowing German, knowing how to speak Russian.
Maybe she learned that before the car crash though.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. Okay. She should be confused by all of it. Not just of the amnesia. Exactly.
So you're saying it's selective amnesia.
Right now it's selective amnesia because like she should be confused like, shit, I know that language too. But there was no action of that. There's just, and that could be just something, minor details like you've discussed with the like the rain and for Robin. There's just minor details missed.
There's one scene with like, for example, the picture. The fire burns everything but the picture.
Yes, that's the one I pointed out.
It burns everything in that room, but the picture of Raven.
Was good.
Because we need that for the plot. And the other thing I wonder, and this will kind of, the last thing I want to mention before we move on into the actual show, is basically the best thing I like from this first episode is Dick and Raven. We get a lot of that. So we get to know what Raven's going through. She doesn't know anything about her powers either. Like, the conversation she had with her mother at the beginning is basically, like, tell me, like, there's a scene where she's like, tell me about my powers. This is, like, right before she's going to go to school for the day. Tell me about my powers. And her mother kneels, and she goes, no, we just need to pray. We just need to pray. And she starts to pray, and she goes, no, Mom, you need to, and then snaps into the demons, like, tell me! And, like, pushes her back. So it's like, she doesn't know. She wants answers. Yeah. We also get like a shot of her at school, and kind of the edginess of the show that I like is this bully picks on her, basically guy that's, hey, I'm going to be douchey and try to like hit on you and take advantage of you. Blonde football player says, hey, stop it. they get into a fist fight on the bus. And then what does the bully call her? He just goes, slut, and then just walks away. And then you still get that in her head. Like when she's at her locker, she sees a mirror, sees her demon self in the mirror, and the demon goes, slut. So it's like you kind of see that side to it as well. Mm-hmm. And with Robin, the thing I like is we don't know. Like, we know he's Robin. We know he's Dick Grayson. I want to find out more about what's going on with him and Batman. Yeah. Because you find out that, because he even explains it to his partner when his new partner goes, hey, like, what went on in Gotham? And he was just like, yeah, you know, my old partner was basically, he was looked up to as a hero, did everything with his fists, and he's like, I was just seeing myself becoming more and more a part of him. And the thing that kind of gets me a little is the guy who plays Robin. I'm going to get his name, Brenton Thwaites. He has said in an interview that he believes that this version of Batman kills. Makes me right away go, because the only one that my personal belief, the only one I see that kills is Thomas Wayne, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So that kind of made me go, but another thing that I saw pointed out was that wasn't Jeff Johns. That wasn't the director saying that. That was an actor saying, hey, that's what I think. That is what I bring in to this role. I liked what they did with Dick Grayson and Raven. I like what they did. But the mystery with Starfire, where I didn't hate it, but it posed questions.
I don't hate it, but it's posed questions that could have possibly been answered at the time. This time,
and then at the very end, the last thing we see: convenience store, security guard playing PS4. He hears some rumblings. Oh, all the games are knocked down. He looks through a doorway, and what do we see? A green fucking tiger just chomping at a game, and he shoots the gun. Scares it off, and we get to see the tiger run through the woods. It stops. Beast Boy changes back into himself, smiles. You see that he's got a game, and he runs off. So we get a shot of Beast Boy at the end of it, and I can't wait for episode 2 because it's titled Hawk and Dove.
Nice.
So we get to see that Hawk and Dove relationship, kind of that cloak and dagger type of thing, where he's a rage monster. Well, not exactly Cloak and Dagger, but kind of, where his thing is he's the rage monster, and she kind of keeps him in check. Plus, Thad Castle is Hawk, and I can't wait to see what Thad Castle does. Well, Alan Richardson, I think is his real name, does as Titans. Any final things before we move on into James Gunn?
No.
This is what you guys do. Go down in that comment section. Let us know what you guys think. If you watch Titans, let us know what you think. Let us know everything down below in that comment section.